Is cervical traction effective? Not necessarily. Currently, there are 3 common types of cervical traction on the market. The first type is the vertical hanging traction. You sit there with a sling that lifts your entire neck upward. This type of traction is actually not very effective. Why do I say that? If you look at our cervical spine from the side, it has a C-shaped structure. Because of this structure, if you use this kind of vertical hanging traction for a long time, it will gradually change your cervical vertebrae from a C shape to a straight line. Its only function is to slightly increase the space between the vertebrae, which can temporarily relieve your symptoms. But as soon as you get home and the traction force disappears, everything goes back to the way it was. If you keep using this kind of traction for a long time, it will only make the curve of your cervical spine straighter and straighter, so I don't recommend it. The second type of traction requires you to lie on a bed or a traction device so that your cervical spine is pulled from both ends or pulled upward at an angle. This type of traction is similar to the first one. It will only make the curve of your cervical spine straighter and straighter, and it cannot effectively help the vertebrae return to their original position. The third type of traction follows the natural structure of the cervical spine, pulling along the C-shaped curve, which is a more scientific approach. Therefore, based on this principle, there are currently several simple methods commonly used. For example, some recommend letting your head hang off the edge of the bed while lying down. Another method is to place a water bottle, thermos, or even a beer bottle under your neck and lie on it, which can also provide traction. There's also a more advanced option, which is to use a specialized cervical traction device. In my opinion, one of the most comprehensive traction methods is to use this cervical traction device. Why do I say this? First, compared to sitting or bed-based methods, its traction force is relatively moderate. Although it can provide up to 15 kilograms of force, the device uses 2 shoulder supports, the chin and the back of the head, 4 points in total, to stretch the cervical spine, achieving stable force both horizontally and vertically. The force doesn't feel very strong, but the expansion of the intervertebral spaces is quite noticeable, making it more comfortable to use. Second, it allows you to adjust the traction angle. Changing the traction angle can add leverage to the force, helping the protruding part return to its proper position more quickly. At the same time, there's also a physiologically curved rod here that can heat up. When your cervical spine closely fits this curve before and after traction, it greatly helps correct the curvature of the cervical spine. Third, in terms of time control, its electronic hand control panel can precisely control the countdown to the minute, and after the session ends, the device automatically resets, allowing the stretched muscles to rest and relax. In short, to achieve results with cervical traction, you must pay attention to time, force, and angle. These are the 3 essential elements of cervical traction, and none of them can be omitted. This pre-recorded cervical traction device is worth recommending.